Hello everyone, my name is Amaris Altamirano, and today I'll be talking about how colonialism has impacted health in Oaxaca, Mexico. This presentation is a part of HPS 433, focused on global health. I'll be covering what colonialism is, a bit of history, and how it impacts health today, and what differences can we make. Colonialism is when a group takes control of another. It's about political, economic, and cultural domination. It often involves taking land and natural resources, using people for labor, and weakening indigenous communities. These power structures do not just go away, they actually shape the health systems we see today. Oaxaca is a state in southern Mexico with a population of about 4.1 million people. Around 65% of the population identifies as indigenous, mainly in the Zapotec and Mixtec. About 60% of the population has access to clean water, and only 54% has regular access to healthcare. Spanish colonization in Oaxaca began in the 1520s. Indigenous Zapotec and Mixtec communities were forced off their land, lost leadership positions, and their languages were replaced by Spanish. The Spanish focused on extracting gold and silver, and also agricultural labor, not on community health. So there was not really focus on community health. This created deep inequalities in land ownership and infrastructure that continue today. How does this appear in health today? It actually is still affecting health today because there's less investment in rural indigenous communities. There are still inequities in water access and healthcare. Generational poverty and malnutrition continue to affect families. The rural poverty rate is around 66%, which plays a big role in overall health. How is Oaxaca today? So Oaxaca today, there are more than half of people in Oaxaca who do not have regular access to healthcare. Maternal mortality has increased by about 8% since 2019. Since child stunting affects, there has been about 21.5% of children in rural communities, so that have been affected. Many households rely on unsafe water and solid fuels for cooking, which are very unsafe. These are clear examples of how the effects of colonization are still very real. Real examples can be in water and child health. Unsafe water and poor sanitation lead to ongoing infections, especially in young children. This can affect how they grow and develop in their early years. Children in rural Oaxaca are twice as likely to experience diseases like diarrhea compared to the children in urban areas. This shows how something as basic as water access is tied to health inequality. So sanitation is very important. So what can be done? First, we need to listen to indigenous communities and let them set their own priorities. Second, we need to invest in primary care, clean water, and clean cooking solutions in rural areas. And third, we should empower indigenous communities to use their languages, leadership, and so that data and decisions come from the community, not outsiders. So why does this still matter? This matters because the history of colonialism still continues to affect who receives healthcare and who doesn't. The lasting change means power needs to shift to people who are most being affected, and my big takeaway question is going to be what change could create the most impact here. And finally, colonialism does continue to shape health inequities in Oaxaca. Decolonizing global health requires centering indigenous voices, so giving people who are being affected more of a choice and a vote to what's going to happen to them. Here are the main sources of what I use to support my statistics and my information in this presentation. I did list that I used my images from Google just because there was not a link basis that I used my images from. Thank you.